Hello everyone, and welcome back to AniMonolith's light novel summary series for Tensei Shitara Slime Dataken. Picking up right after the last video, Gabil was locked in a tough fight against Gladym and Baraga. Outwardly, he tried to act confident, but deep down, he was growing uneasy. His sister Suka was fighting Nazim, one of Gladym's generals, a warrior on par with a demon lord. Gabil knew Suka was hopelessly outmatched, and the only reason she was still alive was because Nazim enjoyed tormenting her. He desperately wanted to rush to her aid, but Gladym and Baraga kept him pinned down. Things went from bad to worse when Master Gadra sacrificed himself in a self-destruction spell, only for one of the enemy generals, Gozarin, to survive and start recovering. Gabil began to think of retreat, but then unexpected reinforcements arrived. To his shock, it was Beast King Karion and Queen Frey, each bringing 100 elite warriors. Fate itself seemed to have arranged this reunion. Karion would take on Gladym, his half-brother and rival among the Beastmen, while Frey would clash with her own twin sister, Nazim, finally settling old grudges. As Frey confronted Nazim, years of bitterness resurfaced. Unbeknownst to Frey herself, Nazim was Frey's twin sister. Nazim was born a powerful mutant, but unfortunately, she was not fertile. Being of female descent, the Harpy tribe could not accept a queen who was unable to bear children. Through no fault of her own, Nazim could not become queen. Nazim was banished by the queen at the time, as she felt that it would cause problems in the future. As she wandered around, she was picked up by Gladium, but Nazim's anger and hatred for her people continued to grow. Now, face to face with Frey, she screamed for vengeance, and the two sisters' battle exploded into the skies. Meanwhile, Karion and Gladym clashed in their true forms. Karion, the Golden Lion King, versus Gladym, the White Tiger. Their fight was fierce, but Gabil quickly noticed that Karion was at a disadvantage. Gladym's god-tier weapon overwhelmed Karion's legendary arms. Gabil himself had no time to help, as Baraga pressed him hard. In the chaos, Gabil noticed something terrifying on the battlefield. Countless fallen soldiers from the Empire's magic beast corps. The truth soon became clear. Gladym had forced his troops to consume a forbidden drug called the Beast. Out of 30,000 soldiers, 10,000 died instantly, and 5,500 turned into magic beasts. 5,000 who turned into magic beasts and went berserk. 5,000 who went berserk in a hybrid human/magic beast form. 4,000 who harnessed the beast, and around 400 successfully awakened as powerful Chimera Knights, far exceeding expectations. Gladym didn't care about the casualties, he only saw power gained. With Gozarin regrouping the surviving troops and the Chimera Knights gathering, the battle was about to escalate even further. Gladym poured all his strength into his battle against Karion. After so many years apart, the two brothers still proved to be evenly matched in raw power. However, with the advantage of his mythical-grade weapon, the White Tiger Claw, Gladym slowly began to push Karion back, edging closer to victory. But just as Gladym prepared to deliver the finishing blow, something unexpected struck him, an overwhelming drowsiness. At the same time, vast amounts of energy surged wildly within his body. It was the beginning of his Demon Lord awakening, yet it had come at the worst possible moment. Karion didn't immediately grasp what was happening. He wasn't unintelligent, but he lacked subtle insight. Only when he recalled reports from Rimuru's own Demon Lord ascension. Did he realize the truth? Gladym was evolving. Then why had Karion himself not awakened, despite also qualifying? The answer lay in the nature of the soul. To awaken as a Demon Lord required not only immense energy, but also the burden of countless souls filled with hatred toward oneself. In Gladym's case, he had forced 30,000 of his soldiers to consume the drug, the Beast. 10,000 died instantly, cursing him with their final breath. Their hatred now poured into Gladym, fueling his evolution. Karion could not see this process clearly, but he understood one thing. The enemy was defenseless. The opportunity had come. With a mighty roar, Karion unleashed his Beast Roar. Gladym's entire body was obliterated, leaving only his tear-stained head behind. The proud commander of the Imperial Beast Corps perished pathetically, killed mid-awakening before his evolution could complete. The battlefield erupted in chaos. Gladym's 3 remaining generals were stunned, their cries shaking the front lines. Baraga, the closest to the scene, charged toward Karion in blind fury, seeking revenge. But Gabil intercepted him, refusing to let anyone disturb Karion's hard-earned victory. Gabil praised Karion's strength, awed by the Lion King's triumph over an enemy armed with mythical weaponry. Yet Karion himself looked grim. The reason soon became clear. The souls that should have fueled Gladam's awakening were flowing into him instead. The same drowsiness struck Karion, dragging him into an irresistible evolutionary sleep. "Sorry, but I have to sleep now," Karion admitted, entrusting his protection to Gabil. With that, the Lion King collapsed, leaving the battlefield vulnerable. Baraga roared with rage. To him, this was an outrage. His lord dead and his enemy slipping into evolution right before his eyes. Grabbing the white tiger claw from Gladam's remains, Baraga poured his fury into it. The weapon responded, reshaping itself into the Azure Dragon Spear and recognizing him as its new master. "Gabil, I'll kill you here and then I'll cut down the one who dares to sleep in front of me," he shouted. But Gabil stood firm, declaring that Karion's evolutionary sleep would not be disturbed. With that vow, he readied his spear. The battle between the two warriors began anew. At this time, high above the battlefield, Frey and Nazim clashed in a deadly aerial chase. Frey evading with speed, Nazim pursuing with raw power. With her celestial eye, Frey could see everything below, even the flow of souls. She understood what had happened to Gladam. His awakening had backfired and killed him. "Luck," she murmured, "is also a part of strength." Hearing this only enraged Nazim further, spurring her to attack more ferociously. Nazim's claws finally caught Frey, sealing her magic with their interference. Like a predator savoring its prey, she unleashed relentless shockwaves, tearing Frey's clothes and racking her body with pain. But Frey remained calm, watching her sister with cool indifference. She was waiting for the moment Nazim's own awakening would trigger drowsiness. That moment came. Nazim grew heavy with sleep, yet desperate to finish Frey before collapsing. She poured everything into one final maximum shockwave. The blast engulfed Frey, but to Nazim's horror, it had no effect. Frey revealed the truth. As queen, she possessed an absolute advantage against attacks from her own kind. Then she spoke of their past. The Harpy race could only have one queen. Frey had slain their mother to take the throne. If Nazim had stayed, the sisters would have been forced into a battle to the death. Yet Nazim, unable to bear children, could not become queen. Their mother, rather than kill her outright, had exiled her in secret to protect her. But Nazim, filled with hatred, had never understood this. Raging in denial, Nazim struck again and again. It was useless. Frey's unique skill, Double Winner, allowed her to absorb and return all damage. Against her sister, it was absolute. Grasping Nazim by the throat, Frey unleashed the accumulated storm of electricity. The shockwaves tore through Nazim's body, and in an instant, the Harpy who had once been her sister was dead. Cold, lifeless, and broken. Frey gave her a quiet farewell, acknowledging the love their mother had once shown her. But before the grief could sink in, a wave of drowsiness hit. The souls that had gathered in Nazim now flowed into Frey, dragging her into evolutionary sleep. Ashamed to collapse in the middle of battle, Frey nonetheless entrusted her protection to her loyal followers, Rusha and Claire. She flew to Karion's side so their allies could defend them together. With a final thought of embarrassment, coming as reinforcements only to fall asleep, Frey succumbed to slumber beside the Lion King. Gabil's fight with Baraga was far from over. Pushed to his limits, Baraga fused with magic beasts and transformed into a form with dragon-like features. Not stopping there, he drained the life and power of his own soldiers, raising his magicules to rival Gabil's, reaching the level of an artificially awakened demon lord. Sensing the danger, Gabil rushed in to strike, but this was exactly what Baraga wanted. Feigning an opening, Baraga tricked him and drove the Azure Dragon Spear through Gabil's abdomen. For the second time in this battle, Gabil stood on the brink of death, but fate itself intervened. The voice of the world declared that his unique skill, Lucky Devil, had activated, changing destiny and saving his life. This was a skill Gabil had acquired during Rimuru's awakening, though he had forgotten its true power. At its core, it altered fate and adjusted Gabil's strength based on his spirit. When confident, his attacks grew stronger. When weak, they faltered. Somehow, it had saved him from death. But it could only be used once per day. Even so, Gabil showed no fear, smiling as he stood against Baraga's relentless assaults. At that moment, a new voice rang in his mind. Ciel, do you desire strength? Then allow me to evolve your skill. Without hesitation, Gabil accepted. In an instant, Lucky Devil was sacrificed, and Ciel granted him the ultimate skill. Psychology King, Mood Maker, with 5 powerful abilities. Thought Acceleration, processing speed boosted a millionfold. Change Destiny, superior fate manipulation, usable once a day. Unexpected effects. It allowed one to activate the increase in attack power at their will. However, the amount it increased still depended on the user's mood. Spatial manipulation, the ability to warp space and block enemy movement. Multi-layer barrier, layered defenses as used by Rimuru himself. Flooded with newfound strength, Gabriel's confidence soared. Baraga grew uneasy, wondering where this sudden surge of magicals had come from. But with thought acceleration, Gabriel could now read Baraga's moves with ease. His spear thrust struck true, piercing Baraga's chest. Though Baraga tried to heal using his Beastman regeneration and stolen energy, it was useless. Gabriel's changed destiny had robbed him of that chance. The wound would not heal. Shocked, Baraga realized too late that the tide had turned. With a final decisive blow, Gabriel stood victorious. Against all odds, he had transformed near-certain defeat into triumph, proving that under Rimuru's banner, even fate itself could be rewritten. And that's where today's video ends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next AniMonolith recap.